Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on Texas Today.
Yeah, the election results are in.
Tonight, our campaign is shocking the nation.
A hard fight in the U.S. Senate race on the Democratic side between James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett, with Tallarico being declared the winner this morning, but Crockett holding out after alleged issues with voting in Dallas County.
But I can tell you now that people have been disenfranchised.
What shakeup at the polls in Dallas County now has Jasmine Crockett ready to file a lawsuit? But the voting shakeups don't end on the Democratic side.
We are not going to go quietly, and we are not going to let you buy the seat.
We now head into a 12-week primary runoff.
And the showdown is set. John Cornyn and Ken Paxton are preparing to battle it out in a fiery runoff. And we're hearing directly from both campaigns.
Today begins our multi-day stretch of weather impact alert days. I'll have more details on those isolated storm chances that we'll see today.
From key races to major upsets, we're breaking down all the major election results.
Yeah, that's right, so keep it right here. We are live from the 6 News studios and streaming for free on 6 Plus. You're up with Texas Today. Well, hey there, good morning to you, Central Texas Rise and Shine. Thank you so much for joining us and for streaming on 6 Plus. I'm Jasmine Caldwell.
And I'm Lindsay Lippman. The results are in. The 2026 primary elections saw millions of Texans casting their ballots, and we're bringing you the very latest voting totals this morning.
Yeah, Texas Today reporter Brandon Coe is standing by with our interactive election map that we showed you yesterday.
Jasmine, Lindsay, that's right. You can see that the voting counts for the Republican U.S. Republican Senate seat is here, and this one will go to as a runoff between incumbent John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. I'll have more on that race and other results coming up later in the show.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Before we dive into more election results, let's take a step back and go to a quick check of your Wednesday weather forecast, because that's pretty active too right now.
Yeah, you're right, Lindsay. Waking up this morning, things are pretty quiet right now, but today does mark the first day of our weather impact alert stretch that we'll see today extending into our weekend forecast. Like I said, we're pretty clear right now. Here's a live look downtown Temple. Temperature-wise, humidity, it is there. It is quite warm to start today. It's likely you won't need a jacket as you're heading outside. 71. It's already in the 70s, and we're starting the day off, like I said, on the warm side. Winds still out of the south-southeast at about 15 miles per hour. As we continue throughout the day, we'll continue to see south winds. They won't shift out of the north for quite some time, and that's why things are going to remain quite humid. We are going to remain quite warm as far as those afternoon high temperatures are concerned. We're not seeing much, if any, fog building up in the region today. Most of us are seeing pretty clear conditions, maybe a little bit of patchy fog as you head a little bit further south in Georgetown or Burnett. But besides that, clear skies as visibility is concerned. Here's a look at satellite and radar. The biggest thing, where's the rain at? When is it coming? Who has a better chances of cashing in on some of those storm chances? What I can tell you is it's not going to be the first half of the day that we're concerned about for today. It's going to be later on in the evening, by the time you're picking the kids up from school, going to maybe soccer practice, things like that you're going to want to take a closer look at the forecast. As far as what's going on right now, mostly just watching a few mid to upper level clouds passing on through, but rain, it is not here just yet. But if you don't see any rain today, because once again, we're only going to be on the lighter end of some showers today, maybe about a 30% chance of rain. If you don't cash in on any of that rain today, trust me, you have quite a couple more days to receive some opportunities over the next 7 days. This is what our rain totals are possibly going to be looking like. Areas a little bit further north, closer to the DFW Metroplex, could see rain totals near about 4 to 5 inches over these next 7 days. Most of this rain is going to fall over the weekend. So coming up in our full weather hit, I'll have a day-by-day detailed look at what we're forecasting and when we could see some relief of all the showers and storms in Central Texas. More on that in just a moment.
6 News primary election coverage is sponsored by Centex Roof Systems, your hometown roofer.
All righty, Faith, thank you so much. Well, this morning, voting results are coming in for 2 heavily contested U.S. Senate races right here in Texas. Texas Today reporter Brandon Coe is here with us in the studio to bring you the final results. Good morning to you, Brandon, and what can you tell us?
Hey, good morning, Jasmine. We're going to start with the Democratic U.S. Senate race right here. And as you can see, James Tallarico is taking home the victory, getting about 53% of the votes, beating out his opponent, Jasmine Crockett, right here for the Democratic nomination, who is sitting at about 46%. Tallarico says this one is the first of many steps to take on our broken political system. Jasmine Crockett has yet to respond to him winning the Democratic primary, but she is speaking out against the voting dispute in Dallas County. Crockett says voters there were turned away after 7 p.m. despite the Supreme Court extending polling hours to 9 p.m.
This is a people-powered movement to take on this broken, corrupt political system. This is truly a campaign of, by, and for the people.
But I can tell you now that people have been disenfranchised. The polls were supposed to stay open until 9, according to a court order. The Supreme Court, just a few minutes ago, just said, shut it down. The Supreme Court also said that they are to separate any votes out that came in after 7 p.m.
Tallarico will be taking on the winner between U.S. Senator John Cornyn and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton for the U.S. Senate seat. So the two Republican candidates are now entering a runoff, meaning they will compete in a second primary election to determine the winner. This is because of how close the voting results were. Look at this. Cornyn is sitting at about 42%, while his opponent Ken Paxton is sitting just shy of 41%. Cornyn says Paxton winning this race could ruin the years of hard work that Republicans have put in growing Texas, while Paxton says it's time for a new leader to step up to the plate.
I've worked for decades to build the Republican Party, both here in Texas and nationally. I refuse to allow a flawed, self-centered, and shameless candidate like Ken Paxton risk everything we've worked so hard to build over these many years.
Texans want new leadership. They want someone with a proven record of fighting and winning for them. And that's exactly what I'm going to deliver. Because for too long, John Cornyn has turned his back on us.
Well, a man was detained outside the Dallas hotel hosting Ken Paxton's election night watch party. This is after officers stopped his car, which had no license plates, and found several boxes of ammunition. Police initially responded to a report of a suspicious person near the Marriott Dallas Uptown, but no firearms were found. After questioning, investigators determined the man was there to make a delivery to an employee. He was taken to jail without incident. The primary runoff between Paxton and Cornyn will be happening on May 26. Lindsay?
Yeah, Brandon,
Jasmine, yeah.
I'm telling you, it is heating up like a stack of pancakes out there. And just to point out, that gap between Paxton and Cornyn is only about 23,000 votes. All right, now I'm going to focus over here on the governor's race, because on both sides of that primary, we have very clear winners. You can see a statewide look. We're going to zoom in just a minute to see how our local counties did. But as you can see, Governor Abbott will be the Republican candidate. And on the Democratic side, Gina Hinojosa took it away with 59% of the vote. But let's go ahead and zoom in to our local counties for just a very quick look to see overwhelmingly Democrats in McLennan County voted for Hinojosa. Here's a look at Coryell at 46%, in Bell County 44%, Falls 33%, a little bit closer between those two there in Falls County, and a quick look at Limestone County, and then switching over for that look, overwhelmingly voting for Governor Abbott across our local counties as well. Now, Jasmine has a look at one of those House district races that we were keeping an eye on. Jasmine?
All right, Lindsay, thank you so much. We're going to dive into local election results. All of our 6 News reporters were out at different election parties and events. So let's catch up with Juliana Jackson, who was at an election party for Pat Curry.
I'm Juliana Jackson in Waco, where incumbent Pat Curry has won District 56 against his challenger, Ralph Patterson.
We're going to continue to work on water. We're going to continue to work on property taxes. We have several plans in the works for that. We're going to continue to work on mental health here, which is a big deal. We're going to make sure that we secure our border more for the future, no matter what regime is in Washington. We're going to try to keep Washington out of Boston, which is hard to do sometimes, but we do our best. And then there's so many other issues that we're just going to continue to help our constituents with as they bring us issues with state agencies and regulations and all kinds of issues that most people don't even think about until they hit their lives.
Curry told me he's looking forward to this next legislative session and to represent the families in McLennan County. In Waco, Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much for that. Well, let's send things back over to Lindsay, who joins us now with the results. So can you share more about House District 56 race?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at how that stacked up. Obviously, overwhelmingly, Pat Curry will represent on the Republican side, but quickly let's see how they voted and who he will be challenging in that midterm election. It looks like he will be facing off with Ashley Thornton, who won 55.9% of the vote. And once again, just so you can see, this covers House District 56 covers mostly McLennan County. Now I want to switch over to a race that involves quite a few counties, including Leon County as well as parts of McLennan County. This district goes all the way to Clifton, to Bosque County, over to parts of Freestone and Leon counties as well. And in that race, we can see the results. 55.8% going to the incumbent Angela Orr and 44.2% going to Kathleen Wall. There will not be a runoff since Angela Orr was able to secure that nomination from the Republican side. But in November, she will face off with the uncontested Democrat Albert Hunter to represent these folks in Central Texas. Back to you, Jasmine.
All righty. Well, Texas was not the only state that had primary elections yesterday. Alice Barr explains how the results could impact which party has control of the Senate this fall.
Results are in for the first primaries of this year's high-stakes midterm elections, with Texas-sized implications for control of Congress. Four-term Republican incumbent Senator John Cornyn is now headed to a runoff in May with State Attorney General Ken Paxton, with neither candidate winning a majority of the vote. Cornyn casting Paxton as a liability for a series of scandals, from a 2023 impeachment on bribery charges he was acquitted by the state Senate, to a messy ongoing public divorce.
I refuse to allow a flawed, self-centered, and shameless candidate like Ken Paxton risk everything we've worked so hard to build over these many years.
Paxton, who's built his credentials through aggressively suing for conservative causes, pushing back.
You listened to what John Cornyn was selling, and you weren't buying it. Tonight, change was on the ballot, and change won.
Whoever prevails in that bruising battle will face Democratic State Representative James Tallarico, who NBC News now projects defeated Representative Jasmine Crockett, as Democrats look to make a play for the traditionally red state, pointing to high turnout.
We are not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. And it's working.
Democrats also aiming to gain ground in North Carolina's Senate race, where Republican Tom Tillis is retiring. Former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper now set to square off against former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. Two closely watched races that could determine control of the Senate. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Coming up in our full weather hit, I'll have more details on all the storm, the rain chances that are on the way. We are included in some severe weather risks. Majority of us are including that marginal risk, a 1 out of 5, whereas our northern counties, a slight risk. I'll have more details on what that means, if we can see any hail, lightning, thunder, a close look at that future cast, all those details on our weather coming up in just a moment.